So before I introduce what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give the floor to Frank.
Great, thank you. We're professional magicians, and Jason and I started building our skills with what's called restaurant magic way back in the day, and this was going table to table, doing your magic. And when we started, you remember how nerve-wracking it was, right?
Absolutely.
And you'd approach a table. So my first night, I was pretty good at magic, but I was definitely nervous. And the first table was a family, and they're always very, very friendly. Then there were two brawny guys, hey, magic man, come over here, do some magic for me, do some magic. And I knew it. I knew they were going to give me trouble. So I'm going to show you what happened. My hands were a little shaky, I was a little nervous, and I went to the first person. Now, you're much nicer than these guys, but I said, look, all the cards are indeed different. Go ahead, grab anyone. Take anyone out of the deck. Take anyone.
Oh, I'm psyched.
And go ahead, show the camera. Show the camera. Ooh, I think I could kind of get a glimpse of that on the monitor. I didn't have that luxury. So one of the guys took one. Go ahead, put it back anywhere you like.
Okay.
Put it back in the deck.
Okay. All right.
Don't help me too much. I am a professional. And I said, would that be cool if just by feel alone I could find that card? Guy said no. He grabs the cards from me and he starts shuffling like this, a sloppy overhand shuffle. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in trouble. And then he's about to hand them back, but he pulls them back and he starts to shuffle face up, face down, face up, face down, face up, down, up, down, up, down. And you know why he did this? He knew he was an amateur magician, and he knew there was no way that I was going to find the card when some of them are face up, some of them are back to back. The deck's a complete mess. He hands them to me, and he says, now, Magic Man, now you find my card. So the manager's watching. It's my first day. Whew. Took a deep breath. I said to the guy, can I straighten out the cards first? Do you mind if I straighten out the cards first?
No, not at all.
Again, much nicer, much nicer.
Much nicer.
Listen closely. That's the sound of every card in the deck straightening themselves out. Now, Shazam, believe it or not, just your card turned over. One card.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow,
Indeed.
Frank.
The Queen of Spades,
Yes,
my personal
yes.
favorite.
Very good, very good.
Woo!
Let's hear it for Frank.
All
Great.
Well, thank you.
Wow.
So the point of the demonstration there, of course, was today we're going to talk about should your presentation, when you give a presentation, should it really be a performance? As opposed to, let me just dictate out data to you. So, hey Rita, after seeing that, what's your take on should it be a performance?
I think it should be a performance. I really do. I think it should be animated. I think it should somewhat be rehearsed. I think you should. Frank gave some wonderful pointers early on in his presentation. There's loads of times when you just need to know where you are and having that rehearsal, and then being able to just have a way in which you can know where you're going, what you're doing, and then just be with the audience.
Right.
And that alone.
And have fun.
And have fun with it.
Enjoy
So, because
it.
when you know your material,
Right.
you know it.
You're free.
Yes, you are very free and able to just be you. And if you're good, you're in your performance mode.
Right. And then don't you think that also lets you to kind of have more of a connection to the audience? You know, I mean, you're more memorable. When
More personable.
Yeah.
Right, right. Absolutely. What Rita was saying really makes sense. To have, and again, some people remember rote, some people have their skeleton and they flesh it out. But I'm definitely in your camp where I like to know the basics of what I'm going to do and then just have fun with it and enjoy it and put some passion into it.
But when it comes to performing, one of the things we know as magicians is the presentation has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Right.
And obviously, Frank, he set it up, right?
You did.
This is where I was at the beginning of my magic career. Then here I was in a restaurant, my first time performing, and I was really nervous. What happened? You were emotionally connected and drawn in. And then he showed you what happened, Visually, you were able to see it. You could imagine yourself being there, and then boom, and there was the payoff for, hey, this is something that's worked out well in the scenario.
And to take that analogy and put it into the real world, a sales presentation. When you're giving a presentation about sales, one of the most important things to do, if you can, and most of the time you can, is to tell a story about a problem that you solved, an anecdote that has something amusing in it. It's okay to show a little bit of weakness here or there to show that you're human. But then at the end, how you resolve that conflict and you solve their problem. People learn by stories far more than just analytical data and charts. Which
is obviously known, maybe forgotten, but isn't that how stories were passed on from the ages
or the oral tradition?
Yeah, before the internet.
Right, exactly. We don't often get the time to just have, or a short period of time to do a presentation. Some presentations are 18 minutes, some of them are 45 minutes. So to have a beginning, middle, and an end, you might have many beginning, middle, ends, and it's the connecting the dots of the beginning, middle, ends. You tell your story, you say something. That magic trick is the beginning of the beginning and the middle.
Right, that's a great point.
You know, so
it's
you have to
It's
understand.
all woven with a common denominator.
Right. So there's many times where, that's why I think the presentation has to be somewhat of a performance, so that you can keep that flow going. You know, you're in the middle of the middle.
Right.
And you're at the end of the end, and so forth.
And you keep people's attention.
Attention.
It always comes back to this. If you cannot earn people's attention by performing your presentation, I don't care how brilliant your presentation is, people are really going to be thinking about lunch, or their spouse, or their children. Something far more important than whatever you're doing. It's your job to give them a reason to listen to you.
When it's all said and done, you want them to say, oh man, my 30 minutes is...
That's
that
it?
was 30 minutes?
That was quick.
Holy moly.
Right.
As a matter of fact, some of our friends that are magicians, one of the guys, his wife said, we saw this magician, he put on a show for an hour. She said, when the hour was over and I was thoroughly entertained, she said, you know what I realized? He only did 3 tricks. So obviously, everything else that he did sucked him in.
Right. It was presentation skills.
It was presentation
skills. And we know
skills.
that. And again, culling from the world of magic, we have had magical effects that were mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, and we go show somebody without a good presentation, they didn't care. Not because it wasn't mind-blowing, but because they weren't really paying attention. Because we didn't earn their attention.
Right.
We didn't treat it like a performance. We just knew what we're going to show you is going to blow your mind. But what we didn't realize in the early days was, if we don't capture your attention, maintain it, and treat it like gold, we can float.
Right.
Spin our head around, spit fire. They're not going to care.
Right. And just to tie in one more thing that you had said about having the multiple beginning, middles, and ends.
Right.
I think if you relate that to, if you ever watch a good comedian, what do they, some of the best comedians, what they'll do is they'll start somewhere at the very beginning, they'll have some, funny bit that they do, then they go along. And then just as what they're going to do is they're going to wrap it up, they do what's called a callback.
Right.
And so now all of a sudden they come back to that one thing at the beginning that was the funny joke. They tied it all together at the very end.
It's
and
like
now it was
plugging
one
in the Christmas lights.
That's
it
right.
all comes together.
That's right. One cohesive light. Now, one other thing that from a performing standpoint too, that I think is so crucial, and we've learned this one the hard way, is if you're not heard, your message is not ever delivered.
Volume.
So the
volume is, and I learned that from Darwin Ortiz's book, where he says, and for those of you out there who don't know who Darwin Ortiz is, he's one of the best magicians on cards, and he said, I'd rather have the audience be able to hear me than to see me. Imagine that. One of the best card guys in the world saying he'd rather people hear him than see him, because if they can't hear him, he loses them. So volume is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're wrapping it up. We're at the end of our forum section.